Hi, we are Group One, and We are going to talk about lullabies in different countries. Oh, this is our outline, and 影片在哪？ This is our video.
Hey, what happened? Don't cry. Don't cry. 'The study shows that lullaby can quiet children and lull them to sleep, which is the commonest function of them. So the songs are usually slow, gentle, and rhythmic, and the content is about helping baby fall asleep quickly or growing up healthily. Schlaf, Kinderlein, schlaf. Oh, picnic, we all schlaf. Some goodness, schaffen in the lion. Bits, my bosses, Kinderlein, schlaf, Kinderlein, schlaf. La 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 la. However, sometimes there are dark content in lullabies because caretakers would vocalize their fears and worries in the songs, like mothers' fear of losing babies. 想看的是粉黑的来用 best best boss Kinderline Schlaf Kinderline Schlaf. Although lullabies contain danger and warning, they are rooted in love and care. In addition, because the caretakers are alone when singing lullabies, the songs sometimes reflect their emotions. Things unsaidable can easily be revealed to a baby. The caretakers can relieve their anger, sadness, or anxieties through singing. Therefore, lullabies not only comfort babies but also caretakers. So lullabies are more complicated than I thought. They contain much more content and also show cultures. Let's find out more in the following presentation.
I'm going to talk about the introduction of lullaby. A lullaby or cradle song is a smoothing song or a piece of music that is usually played for or sung to children. The purpose of the lullabies are varied. The music is often simple and repetitive. The characteristics of a lullaby is tend to share exaggerated melodic tendencies, share several structural similarities, almost never have instrumental accompaniments, often used for their smoothing nature even for non-infants.
Now I want to introduce Taiwanese lullaby. It is Taiwanese native language, Minnan, and we call 有囡仔歌。这个人，这边忘了。
一次来，再唱一次啊，唱给广太听来，备，好，开始。咿呀咿咿嘿，鸡妹大鸡，咿呀咿咿嘿，鸡妹大鸡。
怎么见？ The story is about in May 1945, during World War II, the Allies bombarded Taiwan heavily to fight against Japan. Mr. Lu evacuated his wife and 3-month-old infant to countryside of Fengyuan, his hometown. He stayed in Taipei and worked in Taipei broadcast barrier. As the night falls, Mr. Lu is longing for his wife and newborn son, so he inspired the song. The song has a wonderful simplicity that expresses the traditional attitude all Chinese parents have toward their children. It extols the hardship and high expectation experienced during child rearing. The lyrics in a
Just skip that, okay? All right. I mean, can we just talk about your analysis? So here is the translation, right?
yeah.
Right. So we can just skip that. We can read that on.
Okay.
Okay, let's talk about Japanese lullaby. Oh, this lullaby's name is Itsuki's lullaby. Lullaby, lullaby, lullaby. Itsuki is a village in Kumamoto Prefecture, Kyushu region, south of Japan. It's a village, and the story, a background of the lullaby. During 1920s, Japanese government dedicated to expanding their territory. Then the food and the soldiers were in short supply. Boys could be soldiers to fight against other countries or be farmers to help family growing crops. However, in that era, there were a couple of girls suffering. In Itsuki village, a lot of poor family who didn't have enough money to raise all their children. So they sold their girl child to other family to be a babysitter. Those young girls had to leave their home when they were about just 10. Itsuki's lullaby is thought to be a little revenge from those young babysitters. And this lullaby is about masculinism. Just like any other country's history, Japan seemed to be paying more attention on male or boys. Women and girls are useless than men or boys to them. That's why when one family couldn't afford every child's life, they would send girls on first. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to talk about Russian lullaby. Bayu Bayu Shuki Bayu. And Bayu Bayu Shuki Bayu, this song is also a world famous terrorist lullaby. This song is an inspiration to lull a baby to sleep in Russia. And this old song teaches little children not to sleep on the edge of a bed or in an inappropriate place. If they do so, a hungry wolf will bite them painfully. And
Баю, баюшки, баю, не ложись на краю, придет серенький волчок.
Okay. In the famous fairy tale of Russia, the wolf is a symbol of loyalty and courage. So, 2018 World Cup, Russia chose to use the wolf as a mascot. In addition, in the Russian heroic epic "一歌儿远征记", wolf is an image of a cultural hero. The wolf has a positive image in early Russian literature.
Let's move on to lullabies in Germany. Lullabies in Germany are closely related to folk songs. So, for example, we can see most lullabies, they come from different folk tunes put together in one basic tune by different people usually, so there's not just one composer. And then this basic tune is transformed by mothers or people that are watching the babies, and also teachers and educators. So this basic tune transforms to one particular lullaby in the end. And lullabies in Germany are also used in different classical art songs. So for example, Mozart, Brahms or Schubert used these melodic fragments in their songs, in their compositions. So here's one example. It's called Schlaf, Kindlein, Schlaf, which means sleep, baby, sleep. And we can also see in a timeline that there's one moment where the basic fragment was discovered, but then later many people contributed to this song. So actually there are 36 different verses of this song back in 1987 already. Yeah. Okay, let's skip this one. Okay, when we look at the lyrics, some topics mentioned are, for example, in the first one, it's about parents. So what are the parents doing? They're shepherding sheep. So that's kind of to stimulate the imagination of the children. In the second verse, we can see that the stars are the lambs and the moon is the shepherd. So kind of fictional narrative in this lullaby. In the third verse, it's about Christian belief. So it's about baby Jesus, who is a lamb himself. So we can see it's all about shepherding and lambs and so on. And further in the fifth verse, there's a topic of intimidation. So you shouldn't sound like a lamb yourself, because otherwise the shepherd's doggy will come and bite you. So in this verse, it's more about what the baby shouldn't do. But then we see in the last verse, the baby is already fallen asleep, and the mother is saying to the fictional dog, "Keep away from us, otherwise you will wake up my child." So we can also see that in the language there's used what's called a minimization. So for example, the word kind, which means child, is transferred to Kindlein, which is kind of a small child. So every word is minimized via prefixes. The prefix is called Lein, L-E-I-N. Yeah, and in Germany, lullabies are cultural goods that were passed down by generations. And also for the parents, those lullabies often trigger nostalgia and remembrance of childhood. And even in modern families, it's a ritual every night to sing a lullaby for and with the children, usually. And they usually describe as a natural, peaceful idyll, or nature, yeah. And many families have also adapted these lullabies to their own situations, so they have their own lyrics to this melody. Yeah, and also in the last years in Germany, there were new efforts to promote lullaby singing. So there were new releases, new albums with new composed or old lullabies. So there's a new revival of lullaby singing in Germany, actually.
And in the conclusion, we can see from the different two ways. One way is psychology, and another way is history. And in the psychology, many mom will sing the song before the baby born, and then the baby will first they will hear the song, and then when the baby born and when he or she heard the song, he will feel comfortable. Yeah, after 20, and anyway, and then in the history way, if something you can tell it because a man government or something you were hiding in the song, lots of song will just show the phenomena, yeah, and then. And criticism is being a part of part in the child education. In the past, parents will use critical song to teach child language and history. Yeah, and then we have 2 questions. What is the symbol? Yeah, okay. And here is our word list. Yeah.
Thank you. Group 1.
Yeah.
Right. I'm sorry, Group 1. I don't have too much time for you, but you made a good presentation, and this is a very interesting topic. All lullabies are folk songs, right? Okay, most of them are. And when you said that the baby were born, not the baby born, not baby boom, baby were born, right? Babies were born, right? Okay, thank you, Group 1. And eye contact is very important. Yes, you did a good way. I mean, good presentation for your classmates to see that when you make a presentation, the eye contact is very important, right? Some groups you did good, but some you did well, but some groups, okay, you need to have this practice. All right, thank you, Group 1. All right, let's welcome Group 2.
Hi everyone, we are Group 2 and our topic is Happy New Year World. So here are the contents. So we got 6 sections here and we're gonna introduce the cultures in different countries first and we're gonna analyze it. So the reason why we wanted to do this is because in Taiwan we have 2 New Year and one is on January 1st, which is the day we just celebrated for, and the other one is on February, and it is the traditional Lunar New Year. So on the New Year's Day, we can feel the passage of time, and the feeling just kind of make us feel like it is the rebirth. So we're all really looking forward to the new year. So it just keeps us thinking what it's like to have a new year in other countries. So this is our video.
新年快乐！
Okay, so we're gonna start with the first country. It's Thailand. So the New Year's in Thailand is called the Songkran Festival, and it usually lasts for 3 days on April. But in some ancient cities like Chiang Mai and Sukhothai, they're gonna have more activities, and it will last for 4 days. So the festival just means the beginning of the new year, and people will just splash each other with pure water and then praying for the disappointment of the past year, and the new year will start again. So what they would do on the day is that in the morning they would bathe in the body and then go to the Buddhist temple to build sand towel and listen to prayers. And after that, they will have a grand parade on the street, and the Buddha statue will be placed on the float. So people would just splash in their hands to the Buddha statue, and then people on the float will also sprinkle water on people to express their blessing. And in the afternoon, people will pour water and pray for each other. And this is the highlight of the whole festival. And once you got poured, you cannot be angry because the splashing water can wash away the badness and wish you a good luck in the new year. So, the meaning of Songkran, this word is from the Sanskrit language, and it means to pass or to move into. So basically, it just implies of the sun, the moon, and the other planets. And the reason why this festival falls on April is because the ancient Indian belief. They think that spring is the best timing of the season. And it is because spring comes after the cold winter, and at that time everything is just brand new and it's just fresh and clean. So that is why they think that spring is the best timing to be the Thais' New Year. And also it portrays the typical ways of life of the Thais, which is the agricultural aspects. Because rice is the most traditional agricultural crop, and it requires a lot of water, so that is why water is so important to them. And then it also have a Buddhist tradition behind the festival, is that one of the things they would do is bathing ritual. People pour water on the senior Buddhist monks, and then after that, the chief monk will give a sermon and bless that. Give bless to those who attend this bathing ritual. And also, just like I said, the Buddha images are paraded from one street to the other so that people can just shower themselves with the water. So this process is believed to bring good luck. And the symbol of splashing water is that water can clean off those bad things from the past year. And it is just a symbol of fertility, renewal, and rejuvenation, so that people can wipe off the bad things from the previous year and look forward to the new year. And the other country is Spain.
Spain New Year is January 1st, and they were wearing red underwear before 12 o'clock in the new year is said to bring good luck. And the grandest New Year's event in Spain is everyone will hold 12 grapes and champagne in the countdown. And with the countdown of 12 clocks, swallow a grape in each bowl. And before the end of the bell, after eating, the desire for such a coming year will be realized. There is a saying that every grape has different meanings, such as peace, rickets. So eating can also make good luck for the coming year. Be blessed. Why they wear red underwear?
The red and yellow colors are the traditional colors that the Spanish people love, but it is said that the choice of these two colors did not have any special significance. King Carlos III just wanted the flag to be recognized even at a distance, not to be confused in the high seas. Red is also the most representative color in Spanish culture. For example, the red flamingo dress, the red sangria, and the iconic red cloth of the bullfight. In fact, this is not passed down from ancient times. Legend has it that this custom began in Echo in 1909. Because of the overproduction of grapes at that time, the businessman came up with the idea that as long as each person swallowed 12 white grapes at the last moment of the last day of each year, they would bring good luck to the coming year to solve the surplus problem smoothly. In this way, evolved into a traditional Spanish custom. Next is Taiwan. On the first, the Chinese New Year is the most important and grand traditional festival of the Taiwanese society throughout the year. And on the first day of the Chinese New Year, firecrackers will be set up, praying for peace and adding a lively atmosphere. And on the second day of Chinese New Year, the daughter who was married to her husband and children returned to her family to pay homage to her parents. On this day, married daughter must bring some gifts and red envelopes for her parents to express her respect. And why Taiwan people set off firecrackers in the New Year? According to legend, in ancient times, there was a fierce monster called Nian Ear, which would destroy crops, harm people and animals at the turn of the year and year. Once it ran to the village and was scared away by the red dress hanging out at the door. It went to another place and was scared away by the lights. So people know that monster was afraid of sound, afraid of red color, and fear of fire. So at the end of each year, people put red spring couplets, firecrackers, and red lights at their doorsteps. Firecrackers are derived from the act of repelling monsters. But today, people are setting off firecrackers for the festive season because the monsters have been rushed away and the suffocating has been rushed away. And the dragon and the lion dance is one of the traditional Chinese dances and a celebration of the Spring Festival. However, the origin of the dragon and the lion dance has different legends. There is a lion dance that is related to the monster of the year. The villagers use bamboo and cloth to make a big monster, hiding in the dancing, and other villagers knocked on the drums to create a noisy voice, scaring away the Nian monster. From then on, people will make the animal head to dance and celebrate, and become the correct lion dance. The legend of the dragon dance is that the dragon was the god of the wind and rain. A year ago, there was no rain, and there was a drought on the ground. So people danced like dragons and praying for rain in the sky. This is the origin of the dragon. And the fall custom is the day of the daughter's wedding on the second day of the year. Because the daughter has been married, she became an outsider. Returning to her family is called 做客. Usually,
picked up by the brothers in the family. When the married daughter returns to her family, she usually prepares a gift to go home, which means that the day after marriage is very good. The second day of returning to her family is also the guarantee of feminism in ancient times. And this is our conclusion. We are all over the world in the new year while reuniting with our loved ones and good friends. We must not forget that our long-standing customs are far-reaching to the history of our country. These customs, which have been passed down through time, have made the cultures of all countries have diverse and interesting developments. In addition to understanding the history of our country, we can also expand our horizons, understand the cultural customs of other parts of the world, and even go to the local experience to see the beauty of the world. Oh, and this is our questions. First is, what is the common point of the new year in different countries? Okay, no one reply. Yes, thank you. And second, what is the meaning of splashing water at the Songkran festival in Thailand? Okay. And the third one is the Spanish New Year is going to swallow a grape in every bowl. Every second bell rings for 3 seconds. Do you think you can finish 12 grapes in time? I think I can. Okay. And this is our job list and reference. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So, your outline, okay, your second page for the outline. Actually, that's outline, not the content, right? So you can give the title as outline. And actually, you list here, those are your layouts, right? Not for your outline. The outline, for example, you will talk about different countries, different cultures, right? So you should list out in your outline page, right? Since so you'd better to modify or revise your second page, right? You understand what I mean? Yes. Right. So that's one. And another one is your video as group 2, huh? Your video is interesting, but some of your, for example, your costume and the way you present, actually you should give us those kinds of atmosphere, right? Some of them are not. Okay, that's too simple. You know, for example, you have the reunion, the feast, the dinner. You just have one bowl with an instant noodle. People won't do that for the New Year's Eve, right? The dinner of New Year's Eve. We don't actually have the instant noodle just with one bowl with so many people together, right? The family members. Well, when we are together with that. And then maybe you'd better to tell us for some countries, most of the countries, okay, of the world, we celebrate the New Year's Day on January 1st. Some countries, well, for example, in Taiwan or for we Chinese, well, we celebrate the New Year's according to the Lunar New Year, right? Okay, so it's better for you to talk about that. For example, in Japan, when is their New Year's Day? January 1st? Only? Well, check that. I mean, for different countries, actually, we have different ways to treat the New Year's Day, and that is according to tradition again. All right? Thank you. You have a good content, but if you have with your audience, that would be better. Right? Same as group 2. You got some pages, you got too many words. Right? Just list out the main points, and that could be okay. Right? Okay, thank you. This is from group 2. four. Hello, welcome to four.
Hello. We are group 4, and our topic is the taboos of Taiwan and France.
My name is David. I live in Taiwan for like 6 years now. I arrived in 2011. My name is David. I live in Taiwan for like 6 years now. I arrived in 2011. I'm 32 years old. But younger, I know, thank you. And yeah, I'm a music composer. There is too much difference about almost everything. Seriously. People are with you, like the behavior, anything, like the food, like music, taxi, like the convenience store. We don't have convenience store. Yeah. So like, everything, like, and it's difficult to imagine how many things are different. There's something annoying me in Taiwan, like more like an example, many examples. The lights, the red lights, when you cross the streets, like you have like 99 seconds sometimes. And you can make you late actually.
Yes.
If you have two stops like this, you lost easily 5 minutes. Actually, the problem is French people. Because we are really picky about everything, we criticize really easily people. Like, if you do something really different, we criticize. Like for example, we cannot drink in the street. You can have a bottle in your hand here, but basically you cannot drink in the street. And I was surprised because I was like in Taiwan. Like,
We are drinking.
With the cups, it's fine, yeah. Okay. Maybe I feel strange to drink a beer in the street in front of police. Because in France, you cannot do that. Oh, I discovered the all-you-can-drink conception. I remember the first night I arrived in Taiwan, I've been to all-you-can-drink club. I didn't know about this concept, you know. And I was in a bar, I take the drink, and I was thinking maybe with the ticket I have one drink. You know. After I see people waiting for the line. And I didn't see any cash, you know, like a cash box. Or I say, where we paid? Where we pay the drink? And no, it's free. Again. I was like, how? Because if you do that in France, people will be drunk. Like really drunk, because we like to drink until we can't. So we don't have limits. My parents was like, no, you cannot put your, how to say that?
Arm?
Elbow.
Put your elbow.
Elbow on the, also you need to do like this. Under the table. Kind of thing. You cannot blop. No, you cannot do that. It's really not polite. Less you make noise when you eat in France, better it is.
So
you need to eat now. You cannot show what happened in your mouth. You no hats. And my father is really picky about this. When sometimes I arrive with my cap, he says, "Take off your cap." And you don't have the fourth floor sometimes.
yeah, sometimes we don't have.
Yeah, it was like they cannot count here. Like the first time I see like 1, 2, 3, 5. The thing I was surprised is about Christmas. You talk about Christmas because in Taiwan I was wondering like there is like a lot of Christmas stuff everywhere, like even here, like campus, like, you see, and everywhere. And I was surprised because you don't really celebrate Christmas actually. You know what I mean? You have decoration everywhere, but the day of Christmas, nothing. You know? Except if you go to a nightclub and you have the Santa Claus female girl, you know, but that's all. You see trees in the street and with the name of the bank.
yeah, exactly.
Like, okay, I get you. Christmas in France is a really traditional family stuff, like Chinese New Year, kind of. Like we stay with a family, we have dinner, we have like like some stuff for dinner. We used to get every time. Is a Christian.
It's our outline. Introduction, taboos in Taiwan, taboos for gifts from Chinese society, French taboos. And we will compare French versus Taiwanese habits. And finally, conclusion and references. Introduction. We choose this issue to help people understand more culture knowledge and help to promote cross-cultural communication. The concept of giving in Eastern and Western cultures, because of the different cultures backgrounds, the choice of gifts is always very different. How can we send a suitable gift? It is important to understand the taste of the recipients and the taboos before giving gifts.
Now I'm going to talk about the taboos in Taiwan. Okay. Seeing Taiwan for the first time, it can be a great experience for travelers, but it sometimes can also cause troubles for visitors who are only used to the costume or manners of their hometown. Okay, Taiwan has some taboos which are things that should not be talked about or done because that might offend Taiwanese people. Let's take a look at the taboos in Taiwan. Okay, we don't use red pens to write anyone's name. Using a red pen to write someone's name is considered a taboo in Taiwan. The color red represents blood. Writing another person's name with the red pen might suggest that the person will get a serious accident later. So it's not a good idea to write anyone's name use red pen. And here, another way to make a Taiwanese person uneasy will be using the wrong way to using the chopsticks. You use a chopstick upright into the bowl of rice. It could only be done at a funeral or during a ghost month. In other words, a person who did this will be worshipping the person who made the food as if they were dead. So let's take a look at the picture. So this one is the wrong way. We don't do this when we are dining. It's considered very offended. Okay, let's take. Okay. And another one is, indeed, it's inappropriate to say the Chinese word for. Okay. Many of the taboos in Taiwan have something to do with similar Chinese songs. Around Chinese New Year, it is very bad to say the word. It's really, it shows unlucky. Yes. So, some people, actually take this even further. But some of the hospital or hotel, they don't have the fourth floor. But not every building. Let's take a look at the picture here. First floor, second floor, third floor, no fourth floor. Because fourth is considered unlucky. Okay. Oh, here is the taboo during the Chinese New Year. During Chinese New Year, first of all, we don't say, watch out for the knife or you will hurt yourself. Hurt yourself. It implies you might indeed hurt yourself later. So don't say this during Chinese New Year. And then another thing is we don't take out the garbage during Chinese New Year. because in this way you will throw away your good luck. Only Chinese New Year, we don't take away the garbage. Okay, and we do not say bad words. Children cannot cry on Chinese New Year. Okay, we talked about this one before, so let's take a look at this one. Okay, and how about the Gold Month? Gold Month. The taboos on Gold Month will be: do not go swimming or stay close to the water because the ghost will make you drown. It's kind of rumor, and it's a bad idea to get married on the Gold Month as well. Okay.
So here you talk about lunar month.
Yes. Yes. And the body language. Okay. It is considered rude or impolite in Taiwan. If you want someone to come to you, you don't wave them over with upturned fingers. Wave them over with your fingers turned down as you are sweeping something toward you. And the same mention is used when holding a cup.
Next one, let's talk about taboos for Chinese gifts giving. First one is don't give the fan to someone because we use the fan in summer. And when the weather is cool, we put away the fan. So don't give the fan as a gift to someone. And next one is don't give the hand towel to someone. After Taiwan's funeral, it was necessary to give a towel to the mourner. Therefore, in this situation, give a hand towel will remind you of funeral or farewell meaning. And the next one is don't give the umbrella to someone. Umbrella, san, and san together have the same pronunciation. If good friend sends an umbrella as a gift, it means that you may not contact again in the future. And this one is knife. Don't give knives and scissors to people because it means if you give a knife, it means one cut and two blacks, one knife, and so it's not a good gift. Given a knife will cost you a fortune to palm it and will affect the recipient. Next one is don't give the clock and the watch to someone because the watch is also a kind of clock because the zhong sounds is same as the end zhong, and sending a clock will remind people of end to end. Remember last time, the minister Susan Kramer presented a pocket watch to the mail call. In the UK, a pocket watch gift is precious, but it is taboo in Chinese culture. Last one is don't give the mirror to others because the mirror is easy to break. It's hard to restore a broken mirror. So therefore, it is also a taboo for gift giving. Last one is don't give people shoes because sending shoes has the meaning of asking people to walk away. You see, this picture, all kind of a type. This is called all of the shoes. So don't give the shoes to your friend. It means the feeling will come to the end.
Okay, so now let's talk about the.
Yeah. Focus on gift giving.
Okay, sure.
That part. Otherwise, you cover too many.
Okay. Okay, so basically, in French culture, presenting red roses. Yeah. Yeah, sure. Presenting red roses to your hostess can be thought as inappropriate behavior, like because red roses mean an expression of love, so it's like viewed as rude. And bring a present when visiting your friends or relatives' homes. Flowers are good and are usually given in odd numbers except 13, which means bad luck, as you know. Then we have manners, like dining manners, but I think we basically did the same as the previous group, so if you want to check it on the trunk class, feel free. Okay, do you want to... I'm okay. Not like I'm not sure if it's worth it because it's quite the same. But we did a comparison between French and Taiwanese habits, which has been covered by the previous group. So I think okay, we can just cut short to the conclusion. Yeah. Yeah. Too bad, but okay. So who wants to start?
So nowadays, is our conclusion. Nowadays, we all live with our own cultural taboos. It seems like everyone is restricted by taboos in our daily life, and we are restricted deeply. Taboos are based on our cultural difference, which means different cultures develop various taboos around the world. Therefore, we all should be curious about different taboos and treat them respectfully. So we need to be open-minded to different culture. It can also let us learn more about different cultures and make us appreciate the cultural diversity. It's our references. And question, do we need to do the questions? Okay, so we skip it. So thanks for this.
Okay, thank you. Good for. I'm sorry to push you, right? Well, your part. Well, just like I know that you try to cover many things in one report, but just focus on one thing that can make you to talk about, to give us more analysis of that. So.
Hello everyone, we are group 5. Today we are going to talk about family education in different countries. And
At first, I need to introduce that our country is actually a multi-language country. So, since I'm young, I actually learns Malay, Chinese, and English. I studied my kindergarten with English educations, but after my primary school, I will study Chinese. And in my family, I was always speak Chinese with my parents. But in educations, my parents is actually quite open-minded. They never set me any standards for me, and they never give me any pressure. So I can always choose that what I want, and I can always choose that what I want to study for, and I can set my path for my future as well. So I think for my family, it's quite a free educations. We can always set our own target for ourselves. But also, I never think that result is everything. Our attitude is the final targets for our life. I think it's actually quite similar with Taiwan because parents will never want their children to lose at their starting point. So they will also arrange some after-school programs or even enrichment classes for their children. But I think the biggest difference is the pressure that given by the parents, because they never give too much of pressure to the children. Children will always have their enough time to relax themselves. For example, my friends, her mother is very run a tight ship with her, but she can still have their own time to play with her friends. She can still have their own time to relax herself out of the heavy studies. But in Taiwan, I think a lot of children or maybe my friends, I feel that they have a very
tough life in their studies because they are secondary school or even high school. They need to study a lot to finish their exams. I think because of the what is that called?
Ils sont faits à la chasse au perdrix, carbite, toto, carabo, compère, guillerie.
But I think they have really tough life in their studies because they need to study a lot in their secondary or even high school times to manage their
Yes. She was my roommate,
university students
and
education,
she
sorry,
is a Malaysian.
because they need to manage their university educations.
Okay.
So they need to memorize some.
My purpose for you to design your videos, this is a research video. If you just record one, you should introduce her. For example, you have the interview, right? The interview means you should have a host. Say that, okay, I'm going to interview, classmate, or just pretend she is a famous one, for example, like that. Her experience in Malaysia, for example, like that. Then that is your video. But if you just have a one to speak like this way, just like you present that here, that means when after her introduction, you can skip this Malaysia. You don't need to talk about that, right? You know what I mean? Right. So this is very important for you to show us the video. Video is for us to see. For example, you have some street interview, or you should design. I mean, you should design your video. You should add that. You should edit that. Add and edit. And that's your videos. That the videos are not from others. Or for example, the last group, you talk about your movie analysis, but actually that part is not for your own video, right? You didn't actually edit that. You just give some of your ideas and you present that here. That's a set. Okay? If you have that way or this way, you don't need to present that here, right? We just watch the videos and that's all. But here, my purpose for you is to present your discussion, your cultural analysis with the video, the research videos to support your research, your project. Okay? All right? Let's skip this. Almost finished, right? I'm sorry. Okay, continue.
A lot, but without understanding.
I mean, just skip this.
Okay.
So should I skip the Malaysia part? Okay. First, we all know that family has a very important position in every cultural group. Family education can affect the growth of individual members and thus affect the entire culture group. For this reason, we will share to you the family relationships and educational models in each culture, and compare the differences between families in different cultures. And we skip the Malaysia. Okay, and next we are going to the example of Japan. Most people get the impression that Japanese is polite. This is related to their family education. And Japanese people have taught their children to be responsible for what they have done since childhood. For example, Japanese children have to carry their own school bags from the beginning of kindergarten. They are equipped with kettles, towels, stationery, books, and other supplies. They will even let the children go to school alone. For Japanese parents, they can't accompany their children for a lifetime. They must cultivate their children's sense of responsibility and perseverance as soon as possible. The children will have the ability to take care of themselves in the future. And in addition, the Japanese will also ask their children to do housework. Yeah. Excuse me. Housework. They will be more responsible. In Japanese dramas, children have to help housework chores. This is because the Japanese value importance of independence and do not want to cause the burden on the public. This is very different from Taiwan's education. They give children the opportunity to try and learn how to be independent. And
Hi. In South Korea. A long time ago, South Korea were educated, followed Confucianism, and this kind of thinking has continued to these days. And nowadays, Confucianism is still the most mainstream culture in Korea and is integrated into the daily life of Koreans. And there are rituals that need attention in individuals, families, schools, society, and the state. Like, for example, you have to, in your daily life, you have to pay attention to your posture of standing and sitting and your language. And for in the family part, it's necessary to maintain courtesy to your parents. In addition, Koreans speak in a strict, honorable manner to have different honors according to different ages. And because they think that people who can't be polite, they can't do anything well in life, or they can succeed. So it's pretty serious. And so, therefore, parents have been focusing on the cultivation of children's own etiquette since childhood. So that's South Korea. Now, Russia. Russian parents will cultivate children's self-reliance from an early age. And parents generally won't sleep with kids, and they won't overlove. Once the kids they learned how to walk, they won't be held anymore. And if they fail, parents won't help them immediately. They'll let them learn to stand up by themselves, something like that. And Russian parents won't hit their kids, and if they hit their kids severely, their custody might be cancelled. And the most common punishment of Russian parents is to make their kids stand in a corner and to think what they have done wrong. And by telling stories, fairy tales, and fables, Russian mothers will make children realize that the cold is not the real symbol of winter. Parents let their kids experience the beauty of winter in activities such as making snowmen and snowballs, and they even let them wear swimsuits in the snow at minus 25 degrees Celsius. And anyways, compared to many parents in East Asia who care very much about their kids, Russian parents let their kids experience the nature and feel, sense, and accept the beauty of nature. And now, Sweden. And in Sweden, there are not just summer, winter vacations. There are also spring and autumn vacations for like a week. Parents will arrange their work in order to be with their kids in holidays, and it's based on the simplest value of life in Swedish society: family first. In Sweden, parents will attend to the parent conferences to discuss to the teacher about if there is a problem about the kids' behaviors. And though they believe in free education, they do inject etiquette and adult discipline in their education. And the kids there are treated equally as adults, patiently persuaded and rationally negotiated. It's quite similar to Russia. Oh, yeah. Okay, now back to Taiwan. And a lot of parents in Taiwan always send their children to tutor school or cram school, even their kids are just in grade school. And since a lot of Taiwanese parents believe the idiom lead the game from the beginning, 赢在起跑点.
Sorry to interrupt you. Since I'm sorry, but we should have more time, right, for these two groups. And can you skip the phenomena we just learned from you about your analysis? Right? You are talking about the phenomena in different countries, right? But what is your analysis?
We have a conclusion that even though there are many methods on education, but it is related culture to individual or group that are more culturally important. When educating a child is no longer just the responsibility of the parent or family, but the mission of the entire community, is that this culture see independent more important or the group harmony more important. And we think that the most successful form of parenting are consistent and supported by all the others and convinces. Yeah, that is our conclusion and that is our questions.
Okay.
Six names.
Thank you. This is about your report, Terri. Yes, you have good information, but don't forget that. Just focus on your topic. Your topic actually is not only for family. You talk about education.
We focus on.
Actually, in some countries, you talk about the weather too. The weather is actually one of the factors. Yes, influence our culture, right? Okay, so you talk about education and the family, right? So maybe you can think about a good title for your report. All right, thank you. Goodbye. Okay, let's welcome Group 6.
Okay, thank you. Hello, everyone. We are Group 6, and our topic is feminism in films. And this is our outline. If you remember in our last presentation, we mainly showed the evolution of Western women's clothing over the past 100 years. People's clothing in different eras is influenced by contemporary political, economic, and culture. From dressing to wearing trousers, tight waist to no waistline, or long skirts to mini skirts, these changes in women's clothing are related to feminist awakenings. So this time we mainly talk about feminism. And men or boys, women or girls should have equal rights, freedom, dignity, opportunities. However, women or girls actually enjoy less rights, freedom, dignity, opportunity than men or boys. Moreover, these phenomena are not isolated, sporadic, and is actually a systematic social status and power inequality between men and women. But the situation of feminism varies from country to country, and women also have different status or roles in various cultures. So we choose 5 movies in different cultures and combining the characteristics of each culture, explore the situation and the difficulties of women in that culture, as well as the focus of feminism in that culture. So let's watch a video first, and then we will talk more about it.
Hello everyone, welcome to today's video. So we're going to film a reaction of a movie trailer called My Egg Boy, 我的蛋男情人. So let's take a look.
我叫曾美宝，这是我的名片。我们公司真的很有诚意，想跟你合作。
我最讨厌冷冻食品，这种东西不配称为食物吧？
了不起，加塞一个。
我想快点出生嘛。
没有男人怎么生啊？
快找一个啊！
你以为找个男人爱有这么容易哦？
就是失恋而已，又不是复胖。
That's worse. True. That's true.
认识了一个蛮不错的男生。
Oh, they fall in love. Oh my god, he's so handsome. You know what? Let's just watch this movie.
我第一眼看到他的时候啊。
Okay, good.
There are many Indian films that are responding to the issue of female rights. Most of them are centered on female as the main character of the film. However, the main character of Padman is male. This film begins with physiological differences, and in the movie, it is male that drives the change of woman's status, and female is the one that deepens discrimination and social fear.
In this plot, through a speech we can understand that the rights of the woman at that time are not taken seriously and even considered unnecessary, including women have to pay for the family completely. Gender equality is a violation of nature. Women's right to participate in politics is a violation of the divine order, is the name of the film. In the end, all women agreed to donate money to the leaders. Only Nora said no and supported the woman's right to vote.
Hidden Figure is a 2016 American biographical drama film. The story based on the space race between United States and Soviet Union in the early 1960s and the age of American racial discrimination. It describes 3 African-American women who work in NASA. During the period, they often discriminated against because of their skin color and gender in the workplace.
Okay, let's talk Taiwan's movie first. I'm going to talk about this movie is My Egg Boy, 我的蛋男情人. Okay, so the movie introduction is the girl Zhen Meibao. She works in frozen food company and she was broke up with her ex, and her mother told her women have a shelf life, 女人有保存期限. So she told her go find another man and have a baby. But she's getting older, so she decided to go egg freezing, which is 冻卵, so she can earn more time for her youth to wait for the Mr. Right. And so she have to developing new products about frozen food. So she meet her Ash. He's this handsome guy. He's restaurant chef. So this is fresh ingredients represent Ash, restaurant chef, and frozen food. So it's a conflict. And the title of this movie, Egg Boy, it have two meanings. One of them is egg freezing. This movie describes Meibao's egg as a boy, and he has his emotions and a conversation with Meibao. Another meaning is a cold-looking boy with a soft heart, just like an egg, and that represents Ashi. So let's talk about feminism and analysis. Uh, we talk the storage period that can means love and the use. And as time passes, the value of woman declines, but the value of men rises. So it's about personal value and the use, the relationship between them. And the social pressure, we put a huge social pressure about getting married, having a children on women. So are we really going to determine personal value with fertility? So this movie mentioned a subversion that egg freezing is about earning a little more time. So this movie told us when life is no longer limited by time, more hope can be created, and we should focus on our personal achievements rather than our fertility. That's more serious in Chinese societies, 华人社会, because we think the traditional concept that we think women have to raise a children, have a baby, and hold a family.
And as for Northeast Asia, I chose this Korean movie called Handmaiden, 夏女的诱惑.
You don't need to talk about the story, right? Just give us your analysis.
Okay. This film, if you have seen the film, this film is about lesbian, but this is not a normal LGBT film and not a regular mystery film. Among all these elements, we can see these films talk about female and males inequality. And we can see female characters in the film are either housekeepers or maids. All of they have lower social status. But all the main characters in the film are either rulers or rich people. They have higher social status. Women serve men. The movie shows this phenomenon. Until now, the right between males and females are still unequal. A few days before, there was a Korean girl. She uploaded a video of her removing makeup, and it caused a lot of personal criticism and even worse, death threat. This phenomenon shows us women are still at the disadvantage of work and society. Patriarchy, 父权. Patriarchy still remains in social class. Although Korean pop culture is spread all over the world, the phenomenon of women excessively concerned about dressing and makeup in Korean culture is all because men like it. And this movie, Handmaiden, had a high international reputation. Not only presented the inequality between males and females, but also it mentioned about LGBT issues in Korean movie, especially when it comes to women making their own decision of their lives without men. We could say that this movie had done something good for gender equality.
Okay, there are many Indian films that are responding to the issue of the female rights, and most of the films are discuss this issue in a way women need to fight for their own social vision, and women rely on their own strength to antibody operation.
or like women's desires are extremely suppressed, and so on. And most of them are centered on female as the main character of the film. But in this movie, the main character of Padman is male. And this film begins with physiological differences and the physical fear constructed on the so-called physiological defects causes women to generally discriminate against themselves. And in this movie, it is male that drives the change of women's life. And the female is the one that deepens discrimination and social fear. Okay, the most special part of this film is that it shows that the gender inequality that leads to operation in the society is not just the operation of another gender, but also from the fear by themselves. And Padman shows us that the production of affordable pads cannot only change women's health, it can change their life. Like producing cheap pads is not just about making women safer. It also allows women to gain financial independence. And because they gain independence of the financial, so they have more freedom to choose the life they want and no need to rely on men. When women are truly economically independent, they become more confident and can truly change their lives. When women are strong and mothers are strong, this country will be strong. This is a quote in this movie. And this movie didn't show us a new India, but it let us see different feminism. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, I will introduce the Swiss movie, The Divine Order. It talked about in 1971, a young housewife, Nora, organized a woman of her town to petition for the right to vote. And they start. The first is work, and this sense is Nora wants to go to work, but her husband is strongly prevented. So at that time, woman can only stay at home. If a woman goes out to work, her husband will be considered incapable. And next one is about love. In this sense, Nora longs for freedom to love, but she is forced to stay at home. So at any time, the woman, as long as she was with the man or wearing a close-fitting clothes, would be considered unclean and not self-love. Then talk about the politics, which is also the focus of this film. In this sense, the female leader said that a woman to participate in politics is a violation of God's will. Women had no voting right and only men could talk about politics. And the last is the root of everything, gender inequality. Men and women didn't have the same status and equal rights. The line in this sense of the film even talk about equality of sexes is sin against nature. So Nora finally chose to stand up and define her values. Like she gathered the women in the village to stick together, then even went to the street to shout out women's rights. Finally, a speech was held to tell everyone the woman must have the right to vote. And in the end, Nora didn't succeed, but something had begun to change. Like this sense, Nora's husband tell his father to take his warm beer and ask his children to learn to wash their dishes. Men should not just sit and wait to be served. So in the end, Nora gave a speech at the funeral ceremony. She said, "I believe God plans see us as people, all different but still the same, none better and none worse, man and woman." So at the end of the story, women's voting right passed the referendum, which took a big step in women's rights. Okay, next one.
I'm going to introduce American movie Hidden Figures. And the Hidden Figure story is based on the space race between United States and Soviet Union in the early 1960s. The story mainly describes three African American women, Catherine, Dorothy, Mary, who are doing calculation related to the Mercury program at NASA. And they will show you some example. They are discriminated against because of their skin color and gender. First one, you can look at pictures. The police at their identification. They show they work in NASA, but the police can't believe NASA will hire a woman. And the next pictures, you can see women are not allowed to participate in the conference. And the next example is the Catherine worked in NASA first day, but the male colleague took the trash cans to Catherine. He thinks Catherine had to clean up the trash can because Catherine is just a woman, and it shows sex discrimination in workplace. Men are always better than women. And the next example is a conversation between Mary and the man. The man should say, "You should be the engineer," but Mary said, "I'm just a Negro woman. I'm not going to entertain the impossible." And it shows discrimination in the workshop. Being an engineer is impossible for a woman in the workplace. And the next is Catherine say they let women do something in NASA, and it's not because they were scared. It's because they wear glasses. In general, glasses symbolize wisdom and strength, but skirts represent a certain degree of the restraint and labeling of women. What Karen said revealed a sense of superiority in the workplace that men generally take for granted.
Okay, conclusion. Women in different cultures have different difficulties and rights to fight. Facing different cultural environments, feminism has different requirements. When we discuss feminism, we must first set it in a certain cultural environment and understand the cultural background. And vice versa, we can learn more about the culture from feminist movies. But remember, feminism is not about manhood, but hopes that both sexes have equal rights and opportunities. And here our Q.
We just give the Q&A. We can read that on the trunk class.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Yes, we're ready.
Let's welcome Group 7.
Okay, today we're talking about the cultural differences between France and Taiwan, and we'll focus on the mealtime culture. And we're at Group 7. Here's our team members. And the PPT, we will focus on what we eat, the food content, and how we eat, the tools we use, different from the France and Taiwan, and what we do, the timetable, like the food manner, and the manners we use on the dinner time or lunchtime. And now we're going to talk about and why we choose this as our topic, because we have a team member from France. So we think that will be interesting to focus on France and Taiwan, the differences between in the mealtime. Yeah, that's our motivation. Okay, the first one.
Okay, let's talk about what we eat and hope you are not hungry now. And so let's talk about different food content between France and Taiwan. So first of all, let's begin in France. As you can see, so many different kinds of cuisine in this French map. And French cuisine basically is a background of the Western cuisine. Many of Western cuisine is founded from French cuisine. And also, a different region of France have different kind of cuisine. For example, like the southern France, they use a lot of tomato and olives, and it's kind of like South Europe. And for the northern France, they use a lot of meat and they drink beer much. And the difference is because they like to use the local ingredient to make their meals. And another very important part of French eating culture is cheese and wine. And as you can see, there's so many kinds of cheese in France and produces in French. Actually, it's about 400 kinds of cheese can be found in French. And we don't have time to talk about this. It will become another report. And also the wine is the same. They have at least 12 regions to produce their wine. So just a lot of cheese and wines. Yes. And let's go on. Let's talk about Taiwanese cuisine. And we also have a lot of kinds of food in Taiwan. Like we have a lot of kinds of 小吃 and snakes. Yes, snakes. And there's two main reasons influence Taiwanese cuisine. First of all, it's geographic. And Taiwan is a subtropical island in Pacific Ocean, and so we have abundant of agricultural products, and we have a lot of seafood that's deeply influence our cuisine. And also the historic influences, like first of all, a lot of immigrants from Qing Dynasty moved to Taiwan and bring their own culture and their own cuisines. And then the Japanese occupation times, they bring a lot of their culture too, like the Hakka mi is bring from the Qing Dynasty, and Japanese food like sushi, wasabi, sashimi, something like this, bring by Japanese. And the final one is the immigrants from KMT, 国民党, in the 1947, and they bring something like the 肉面 from every part of beef noodles. And the immigrants is from mainland China, from every province of mainland China, so it's very diversity. Okay.
We are going to talk about how we eat in French and Taiwan. Here is the table set we will manually see. And the cup over there from the right is white wine glass, and which is served with the appetizer, and sweet wine glass, which is served after the meal. And the middle one is a red wine glass, which is served with the main dishes, and the champagne glass and water cup. And that is the bread tray. And when we eat the bread, we tear the bread apart into small pieces, and we can eat with cream and jam. And that is the salad fork, and horizontally is a snack spoon. And we use our forks and knives from the outer part to the inner part. And the salad plate is the most above. That is served with salad and appetizer. And the appetizer is made by the owner or the main chef. And the appetizer is the most special plate in most of the meal. And the main plate is served by the owner of the male owner, and it will be cut into pieces for everyone on the table. And we eat the main meat. We cut a piece and we eat a piece. We can't cut in several pieces and eat it, or the chef will be mad at us. And that's it.
Okay, and I'm going to introduce the Taiwan food tour. And the first one is the chopsticks. The chopsticks is the main Chinese tool for dining. and it must be placed on the chopsticks holder, not on a plate or a cup. Otherwise, it will be knocked off easily. And if you accidentally knock off the chopsticks on the floor, you can call a waiter to change a pair for you. And the second one is the spoon. The spoon is to extract the food or the dishes. And sometimes when you're using chopsticks, you can also use a spoon to assist you for feeding. And when you're taking food with a spoon, don't overfill it, or it will be spilled over to stain the table or your clothes. And the third one is the plate and the bowl. The plate is like a light container to place food, and it has the similar use of a bowl. And the plate should always be kept in place on the table and should not be stacked together. And there's also a smaller plate called the dish. Yes, the dish, and it has a special purpose. It's to you can put the food on it temporarily. The food taken from the common dishes. And the last one is the Chinese cup. The Chinese cup, in ancient time, it is used for drinking tea. But nowadays, you can also use it to drink juice, water, etc.
Now we will talk about what we do, so the different timeline between France and Taiwan when we eat. So in France, we don't have the food put together on the table at the same time. Everything does a specific timeline. So we start first with the aperitif, which usually is an appetizer, like a light alcoholic drink to open the appetite or to help the digestion for later. We don't speak a lot. Oh, sorry, we do speak a lot during the aperitif, and we eat really a little. And then we have the starter, which is the first dish. So it can be soup or raw vegetables or snails. It can be anything, hot or cold. And after we have the main dish. So the main dish, if you have only one, it is served everything. But if you have two, first you have to serve the fish. And when the fish is over, then you have to serve the meat. After the meat, usually we eat a salad. And after the salad, some cheese. So the cheese is only served once, contrary to the main dishes, it's only served once. And then you have the dessert, which can be French pastries or anything else. And if you want to serve fruits, you serve it just after the dessert. And then at the end, we have a little coffee, not a big cup, just a little cup that is really strong, that can serve as a digestive, or you can take a digestive which is alcoholic for after.
I'll talk about what we do in Taiwan. Yeah. In Taiwan, we often eat at a fast pace on weekdays and talk after the meal. The Taiwanese generally eat lunch between 11:30 and 2 o'clock p.m. Yeah, and we take our midday meals from lots of eateries on the streets. Yeah, when Taiwanese hold a banquet, we don't discuss business at dinner until our hosts bring it up. The guest of honor sample any dish brought to the table first, and be sure to take the food in immediately, or nobody will eat it. Yeah, and toasting is done with wine or liquor in Taiwan. Yes, and the glass should be drained after the toast. It's very important. To conclude, dining in Taiwan
can also be elaborate and exhausting with as many as 20 courses at a banquet. But we eat at a faster pace and we talk after the meal while drinking. Yeah.
Now we talk about how we do. So the table manners, which are really important. So first in France, the leader is the hostess, which is the woman of the house. So you have to wait for her. She's the one who welcomes everyone. She's the one that tells us to sit down. She's the one, we have to wait for her to unfold her napkin, to start unfolding our napkins that we have to put on our thighs. And also, she's the one that says to everyone to start. So we start eating only when she starts eating. Also, we have to wait for everyone to be served before eating. And the table is completely set before we arrive at the dinner. So every utensils and tools are already on the table. Yeah. And digestive and aperitif are usually not taken around the table. So you just take it somewhere else. So what we say to children all the time is hands on the table. We have to see your hands, but your elbows should be off of the table or it's considered rude. Also, you should chew quietly and with your mouth closed and not talk while you're eating. Also, you can't burp or stuff like this. It's really considered rude. And you should break the bread with your fingers.
Okay, I'm going to talk about in Taiwan. So first, you can't put your chopstick in the bowl of rice because it symbolizes that you are worshiping someone who passed away or their ancestor, and so that's very rude. And the second one is that you need to use the common chopstick for the common dishes because in Taiwanese culture, we often go out with our family and have a meal, and sometimes we order a lot of plates. So in the middle of the plate, there are some public use chopsticks or spoons. So when you have to pick up some foods, you have to use that. Gongkuai is the public use chopstick or spoons for the hygienic purpose. Yeah. And the last one is you don't start eating as soon as the food gets on the table because there have some elder. You must let them eat, and after the host tell you to eat, you can eat. So you can expect that you also have to pick some food inside the elder's bowl to show your respect and your courtesy.
Yeah. So French is a sacred social ritual. And so we can see through this example of mealtime culture that both Taiwan and France scores high on power distance index because they are both hierarchical societies. They wait for the superior person to start eating before eating. They are also both pragmatic and in long-term orientation cultures because they adapt. They're able to adapt their tradition into the modern context, which is maybe why these traditions are still lasting till today. And but the difference is that Taiwan is a collectivist society, while France is an individualist society. So we can see the difference in the tools and the way, for example, the round table for Taiwan, where in France we have every person has their own utensils and we don't have the common chopsticks. Okay, so this is the number of half standard dimensions, what the scores they had. So Taiwan only had 17 on the individualist scores index, while France has 71. Yeah, that's really low. That's why they're considered a collectivist society. So we made a video to show you the different examples about the differences between Taiwan and France. Now that you know this about them. So first, what I really like about Taiwan is how they greet each other. Because in France, when we go inside a room, you have to kiss everybody and say hello to everybody, and it's so annoying. And I feel like
about Taiwan is the MRT because the metro.
But there is metro in Paris too.
Yeah, there is, but it's so dirty and so loud. People just push each other to get inside because there's a lot of people and nobody's disciplined. So it smells so bad too. Like
Really? We never have a sense on the MRT because we can't drink or eat anything, even chewing gum. If you do eat on the MRT, then you need to pay the refund. And we line up to get on the MRT, you know?
You're lining up, like everybody's just respecting the rules, which is crazy.
And we should keep our voice down on the MRT or others will give you...
Okay, yeah, they will give you the look. Having a source is everywhere and it's so convenient in anything.
Yeah, in Taiwan you don't really design, you just go downstairs. There's
So we have the link in our PowerPoint, and so if you want, you can go and view it. Now it's time to the Q&A.
Okay. So the first question is, which table manners are you willing to comply with and why? Okay. The second one is, in your opinion, why is the French cuisine so different from Taiwanese cuisine? Anyone?
Compel somebody to answer your question. You did it. Teacher. Okay, so this is from group 7.
Okay, thank you.
Your topic, I think you'd better use the, for example, meals and table manners. Since you mentioned about table manners, just another mealtime culture, right? The table manners could be like that, and for you, the cheeses, wines, and hakanis, right? Then another one is your video is okay, it's good actually. Well, but the caution is there's no connection between your topic and the video. The end. So you just keep that the end. You don't need to have the very. Actually, the video is great, right? But you try to cover too many things. Again, same as the last group. You cover too many things, and since you just focus on table manners, the meals, just focus on that, right? In your video, you just talk about that, since you just have 20 minutes, right? Okay, thank you. And if you can just revise it, that would be great. And then another one is, yes, you talk about the French meals, right? We said those are courses, different courses, right? The 3 courses or 5 courses with that, the simplified one or the complete ones. And Chinese, we use the dishes, right? We put all dishes in a table. But in French, just like another group, they show that to you. Just the first course, the second course, and third course, just one by one. Okay. So when you talk about those, you can make this kind of comparison. Okay. All right. Thank you. This is the group 7. All right. Let's welcome group 8.
Hi everyone, we're Group A, and our final report's topic is wedding traditions in different cultures. Here are our group members. And it is our online page. We are going to introduce 3 different cultures' wedding tradition today. And there are Indian, Japanese, and Taiwanese. The first part is introduction. Our motivation behind our report is that I was interested by the famous couple Nick Jonas and Priyanka Chopra's multicultural weddings. They post their wedding pictures online and attract public attention to the traditional Hindu weddings. And we hope our report can help you understand more about different cultures' weddings and learn to appreciate them. Wedding traditions vary for many reasons, and mainly is because of culture, ethnic group, religions, culture, and social classes. There are a few common traits of most weddings around the world, regardless of their cultural backgrounds, such as special wedding garments, and exchange of marriage vows, and presentation of a gift, like rings, flowers, and money, a public proclamation of marriage by authority figure and celebrant. There also have religious music, prayers, and readings, sometimes followed by a wedding reception. How much do you know about wedding traditions in different cultures? To answer these questions, we did a few street interviews in the following videos, and we also simulate some of wedding rituals in it. So let's check it out.
有一些那个头饰啊，
披着很华丽的那个叫什么纱丽，披那种红色的那种纱，很华丽，然后会跳舞。
他们是比较有宗教习惯，因为他们是女生嘛，会在那边贴那个东西，
可能会穿那种穿一些传统的印度服装，就是吃饭，然后在那边跳舞，然后这样。办一桌一桌的这样，就是板豆啊，办个喜宴这样，然后南部可能就是什么流水席。
新郎去找新娘，然后一起去婚礼现场。
台湾的话就是流水席，办桌请客一下，丢那个嘛对，那个扇子对，
都办那种喜宴啊，然后就是简单吃这些东西，然后泡个红包。就这样子。
好像会穿白色的，然后比较长，然后戴帽子。
收白包跟台湾不一样，收红包。穿和服。
就是整个场子都是很庄严，而且就是白色的。
白无垢是叫白无垢吗？
我不知道叫什么，反正就是他会穿
尖尖的那个，
对，
漂亮。
就穿得漂漂亮亮，对，大概跟朝鲜差不多吧。
I'm going to report our part of India. A marriage, according to Hindu belief, are made in heaven, and once you are married, the bond is supposed to last for 7 lifetimes. And Hindu wedding are long process, with various rituals that may take days to be executed. Every single custom and practice in a wedding ceremony has deep philosophical. And throughout the world, the Hindu adhere to this set of rituals and continue on the traditions of marriage that is unique amongst those in the world. And a Hindu wedding the celebration may take several days. The bride and groom's homes entrance, doors, wall, floor, and roof, and sometimes decorated with colors, balloons, and other decorations.
I'm going to introduce the Hindu customs. A Hindu wedding is called Vivaha and the wedding ceremony is called Vivaha Sankha. Hindus attach a great deal of importance to marriage, and the wedding celebration always extends for several days. It can also divide into 3 parts: pre-wedding, main wedding, and post-wedding. First of all, the pre-wedding ceremony includes engagement, and it often as a formal procession with dancing and music. And you can see the picture. The color of yellow is represent prosperity and well-being of life. The haldi ceremony generally takes place the day before the wedding, and it is the most important and typical tradition. They will spread oil, water, and turmeric over the couple, and it is the way to bless the couple to be luck and joy. And the main wedding is Raja Homa. This is the most important ceremony in the main wedding. Because in India, by law and tradition, no Hindu marriage is binding for complete unless the vow before the god of fire. The ritual is ultimate witness to the marriage. They will give the couple rice, oats, and leaf to offer the fire. And you can see the couple will put their hand together and put the rice into the fire to ensure them to be blessed by fire god. And the post-wedding is called Vidai ceremony. And before the bride crossing the doorstep, they will throw back 3 handfuls of rice and coins over their head into the house. And it symbolizes that the bride is repaying her parents for all they have given her so far. And the post-wedding ceremony marks the start of the stage of life for a new couple.
Japanese origin, history and myth. According to the oldest mythical biography in Japan, the history of the ancients and the oldest official chronicles, the Book of Japan, the brothers and sisters Liana and Lianame of Japanese mythology erected a sky of heaven on the island of Japan, and they combined after the ceremony of the pilgrimage. This is the origin of the wedding ceremony. In the background, the institution of marriage in Japan has changed radically over the last millennium. Indigenous practices adapted first to Chinese Confucianism during the medieval and then to Western concepts. The development of wedding ceremony. A common description of Japan's religious syncretism says born Shinto, marry Christian, die Buddhist. In practice, however, elements of all three major traditions tend to be practiced side by side. Japanese weddings usually begin with a Shinto or Christian style ceremony for family members and very close friends before a reception dinner and after party at a restaurant or hotel banquet hall. There the couple's extended families and friends make speeches and offer goshiki in a special envelope. And Japanese Shinto ceremonies. Traditional Shinto ceremonies, which account for around 1 in 6 of Japanese weddings, are held in the main building of a shrine. And Christian chapel ceremonies. Christian wedding ceremonies have since the mid-1990s displaced the Shinto rite and continue to remain Japan's wedding ceremony of choice. Christian wedding ceremonies have in the last 30 years moved from the sideline to the mainstream of Japanese society. The popularity of Christian wedding ceremonies represents new widespread acceptance, commercialization, and popularity of a religious ceremony.
Okay, I will be talking with you about the Japanese wedding customs. I choose to talk about the Shinto wedding because, in my opinion, that's the most interesting and typical for Japan, and it's also the traditional wedding system. The traditional wedding of the Shinto is performed by a Shinto priest. As you can see on the picture, the person in the front, that's a Shinto priest. The wedding is normally held at a specific shrine. I don't have a picture of that, but it's basically just something that's overlapping the wedding. And the wedding is very formal. They will always follow a certain set of rituals and rules, which I will tell more about afterwards. And it's usually very private. It's only a few family members and close friends that will attend the wedding. So it's not like some other wedding traditions where you have a really large crowd. It's really small amount of people. The most popular tradition is the exchange of the nuptial cups, which you could also see in the video we showed before, and this is called Sansan Kudo. And the meaning of this, literally translated, is 339. The groom and the bride, they will drink sake tea 3 times each from different sized sake cups called sakasuri. And in the picture you can see the 3 different sake cups. While the bride and the groom are exchanging the cups, they're also exchanging their marriage vows. And in addition to this, the parents also take sips, and this is to seal the bond between the different families. Each 3 sips has a specific meaning. The first sip is for the meaning for the 3 couples, and the second for the flaws, hatred, passion, and ignorance, and the third is for the freedom of these aforementioned flaws. First, during the wedding will be the ritual of purification. Second, the vows, which I just mentioned, and third, the Sansan Kudo ritual. And the ceremony closes with symbolic offerings of small tree twigs called sakaki, which are given to God.
Hello. Let's move on to Taiwan. Traditional wedding ceremonies are still influential in Taiwan because most Taiwanese are descendants of migrants from Fujian, Guangdong, and other places of Chinese mainland. And before talking about the process of Taiwanese wedding traditions, I would like to mention the story of Peach Blossom Girl fight with Zhou Gong. This story is a famous Chinese folklore. The story is talking about Zhou Gong. In order to take the life of peach girl on the road to marry, he set up 7 difficulties in the process. In the end, the peach girl cracked the 7 difficulties. And so the contents of these difficulties and the solution that peach girl patch have gradually evolved into Taiwanese wedding custom.
Here are 5 wedding traditions you might see in Taiwan. Setting off firecrackers. Firecrackers are lit along the groom's way to pick up the bride at her home. Splashing water. This signifies that the bride is no longer a member of the family. Flinging a fan. This signifies the bride has left her family name behind and taken her husband's name. Crossing a charcoal fire and cracking a clay tile. This is believed to prevent bad luck and is also done to hope for a baby boy. Eating sweet rice dumplings. It signifies a happy and sweet marriage. The last part of traditional Taiwan wedding ceremony is that people will invite friends and families to eat and drink at a restaurant, banquet hall, or outdoor. And you can see in the picture, it will be a hilarious scene. And we have 2 questions to analyze. Why does Chinese attach so much importance to weddings? Because Chinese people always trying to gain face. The grander wedding you hold, the more honor you have. Or you can say that wedding is a great opportunity for everyone to get together. So there are many activities and make everyone happy and feel interesting.
And the second question, why are there so many taboos in Chinese traditional wedding? Chinese society has a tradition that men are superior to women. So in the past, we wouldn't say that 2 people are getting married, but marrying girls out. Therefore, there will be many taboos to avoid the bad luck for both men and women.
And we compare the Indian, Taiwan and Japan wedding and the attributes. The India and Japan attribute is religion, and the wedding's duration and scale is more long, and Taiwan and Japan is less than India. And the clothing color India and Taiwan are also red, and Japan is white. And all the purpose is to pray for happiness. And the conclusion is all the customs are meant to pray for happiness in marriage and to avoid past bad influence. And Q&A, and because of the time, I just ask what's your image of wedding? Okay, is our. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so now let's welcome Group 9.
Hello everyone, we're Group 9. This is our final project. We're going to introduce court etiquette in different countries. And first, this is our outline. We're going to introduce court etiquette from Great Britain and Qing Dynasty and Heian period. And first, we'll introduce. In modern days, some countries still preserve the imperial system, and some already ended. The systems are usually historical and closely related to culture. Also, different culture makes the court etiquette from different country divergent. And etiquette is the set of rules or customs that control accept behavior in particular social groups or social situations. And we're going to introduce how did this etiquette form and how did culture impact on court etiquette.
Hi, I'm going to introduce to you the court etiquette of Qing Dynasty. So, first of all, welcome to the journey of Qing Dynasty. The Qing Dynasty, officially the Great Qing, was the last imperial dynasty of China. It was established in 1636 and ruled China proper from 1644 to 1912, and it was preceded by the Ming Dynasty and succeeded by the Republic of China. The Qing multicultural empire lasted for almost 3 centuries and formed the territorial base for modern China. It was the 5th largest empire in the world history. And the court etiquette of Qing dynasty is to maintain the feudal hierarchy and patriarchal system. The etiquette also represents the difference of seniors and juniors, and is also called priority in rank, 尊卑有序. Genuflection obviously demonstrated the seniors and juniors. In the feudal society, the courtiers have an audience with the emperor. They must 3 kneels and 9 head knockings, 三跪九叩. And when the common people see or encounter the officials, they must kowtow, kneel and touch the ground with one's forehead. Oh God. So in the feudal society, when the subordinates have the audience with the superiors, they must kowtow as well. When the younger generation pay the formal visit to the elder, they must kowtow and pay respect to elder. And pay respect also called veneration, 请安. So the last, when the individuals offer sacrifice to gods or ancestors, they must kowtow as well. So there are some examples of the etiquette of Qing dynasty. First of all, pay respect to somebody, 请安. For male version, the process is, first of all, stand straight and squat down, move forward left leg, and place left hand on the knee, right hand down, and right leg half kneel down. And slide pause, look at the front horizontally. Later I will show you from the video. In the female version, first of all, you should stand straight and then squat down. The distance between the left and right legs is close. And move forward left leg, both hands placed on left knee. Right hand does not hang down. And the other is kneel down and pay respect, 跪安. The process is, first of all, also stand straight and then squat down. No, you don't have to squat down. Move forward left leg and right leg kneels down. And then left leg also kneels down. So right, and then when you get up, you raise your right leg and then your left leg. And then you stand straight. So this series of actions should be balanced in rhythm, no hurry and no dragging. And then I will going to show you the court etiquette from the drama story of Yanxin Paris. Sorry for no Chinese, no English subtitles. Maybe you can see the gestures.
上锁喽！
宫女千万不要端胳膊，对，就自然的放松一下就可以了。然后也是要屈膝，是，对，手还要从这儿，然后再这样，对，明白。
起，你赶紧。
这
哎，就是这个，哎，这就是说这个。
基本上能用到的，包括侍卫，包括大臣，这个作音是比较常用的一个礼节。
承红绉，恭请皇上升安。
对。 跪拜礼的时候，前面是跟不然礼一样的，跪右腿，收左腿，然后手平放在身体两侧，跟脑袋平齐，这样头触地，起。
最好保持上身是不动的。
对。
对三点，对称，整齐，礼仪。
1、2、3，落。
You can see the genuflection must be neat and tidy. Okay, and this is my part, and the next one is Candice.
And hello, thank you. Now I'm going to talk about court etiquette of Great Britain. First of all, the formal address. When you meet the royal member, how do you call them? First of all, if you meet the Queen, you have to call her Your Majesty. But how about Your Royal Highness? Your Royal Highness is for all other members of the royal family, such as Prince William, Prince Charles, Prince Andrew. Then next, what you have to do is to follow the Queen's lead. For example, we should follow the Queen when you are in the company of her. Wait until she sits before sitting. Then, when you are eating, when you are having meal with the Queen, when the Queen stops eating, follow her lead and put down your fork, so you can't eat after her stop. Then, royals cannot be touched by non-royals except of shake hand. Never be so bold as touch a royal after the initial handshake, unless she initiates the contact. So only other members of the royal family may place hand on them. So you can't put your hand on their shoulders. You can't touch them except of handshake. Then the small talk. What is small talk? It's a general rule to keep conversation with the Queen and pleasantries and small talk. So we couldn't ask any personal or probing questions and let the Queen initiate the topic of conversation with you. So let the Queen lead you to the conversation. Then there's still some interesting protocol to being a member of royal family. They are not allowed to use social media. So how do they post their own photo? They are using Kensington Palace official account to share the photo, so they can't use the other social media such as Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter. Then they couldn't eat shellfish or meat cooked rare because of poisoning concerns. Then they can't get political. The royals and politics don't mix. They don't vote. They are not allowed to vote. They are not supposed to express political options, and they are also not permitted to run for office of any parties. So, and the other one is they can't play Monopoly. But this is not an official protocol. But Prince Andrew say that the media that they are when they are playing any games in the palace, that they don't play Monopoly, and they can't wear dress without stockings, and they can't wear a bright nail polish, so they should keep their nails clean. Then they couldn't take selfies with friends, but sometimes they will break the rules. Sometimes, I think it's Kat Middleton, sometimes she will take photo with the other fans. Then they can't eat at a different pace than the Queen, so they should eat with the Queen in the same spaces. Then they can't sit cross-legged. They can't in Chinese we say 翘脚, we can't 翘脚. And this is the dining etiquette. There are being big changes in service style through Queen Victoria's in 63 years range. So you can see that there's a lot of things: bread plate, butter knife, dessert fork, coffee spoon, water goblet, and wine glass, coffee tea, and there are a lot of knives and fork and spoon. So there are 4 to 6 courses with 7 to 9 dishes in each. And for big occasions, dishes often included cod with oyster sauce, ballotines of duck and Cumberland sauce, and roast lamb. And there would be a dessert course with dishes like chocolate, and a buffet of hot and cold meats was also kept on a sideboard during the meal, just in case you got hungry between courses. And from the Victorian era, it's regarded as one of gentility and graceful manners. And if you are a speedy eater, Queen Victoria is same to you. Queen Victoria could eat 7 courses in 30 minutes, and while number of dinner guests of hers always left like hungry. So because she can finish the 7 dishes in 30 minutes, and others maybe can eat only one, then they should stop after the Queen stopped. Then the royal protocol dictated that after Queen Victoria finished eating each courses, all guests' plates were to be cleared to the next course. Then her guests were barely served before their plates were taken. And many guests of Queen Victoria considered invited to dine at a place, one dining yet not really dining all with the Queen, because they can't finish it all. And there's also this is the banquet. We can see that there's a top table for the most important guests. Then how about other guests? Other guests should seated in order of importance, highest ranking, closer to the top table. And the food, at start of Victoria's reign, food would be placed on table and guests would serve themselves. And the flowers is after service went out of fashion and dishes were not left on table. Elaborate flowers displays were used as decoration. And drinks, fine wine and Madeira would be served. Then how about the minor guests? The minor guests furthest away from the Queen and served last. And in the public gallery, on big occasions, members of the public were allowed to watch the banquet. And there is a part for court etiquette of Heian period.
Heian period is the name given to the year 794 to 1185 of Japanese history. It's defined by the first period of time that Kyoto was the capital of Japan. Heian is an old name for Kyoto. The period is often glorified in Japanese literature and pop culture as the golden age of Japanese history. Japanese aristocracy lived a lavish life and were obsessed with beauty. Japanese learned a lot from Tang Dynasty of China. During Heian period, they made further development of Chinese ideas in art, architecture, literature, and religion, and led to a new Japanese culture. And nobles grew increasingly isolated from politics. Miyabi means elegant and graceful. It suggests appearance, restraint, and decorum. Miyabi refers to leisurely pleasures that an upper-class person takes a small thing, such as flowers or falling leaves. Miyabi, as a cultural value, is in its origins a way of distinguishing the upper class from the lower class. Miyabi also refers to personal refinement, good taste, and good manners. The Miyabi value established in the Heian court affects the mannerisms of Japanese. Gift-giving, greeting, and table manners are highly formalized. Table manners, the appearance of food was more important than the taste. And while eating, court nobles never touched food with their hands and avoided ever letting another diner see their mouths. A bowl of rice must put on the left side. They think that left has a higher level than the right, and the rice is the most important food for Japanese. Sometimes letters would be returned unread if the paper had been folded improperly, or if the handwriting was considered unrefined. Calling someone by real name was regarded as a violation of manners. Let's learn from the video. Next. We all know Japanese care about manners so much. Even the polite ways of eating, greeting, and talking, the sense of appearance over reality, and the reserved politeness originating in Hainan court still influence Japan today.
And we are going to the conclusion. Etiquette, like all the other cultural behaviors, evolves to match the times. It reflects our cultural norms, generally accepted ethical codes, and the roles of various groups we belong to. Although over the centuries, as society has become more democratic, etiquette has become an excellent combination of good manners, common sense, and rules of conduct that reflect cultural norms and the rules of our society as a whole rather than just one distinct group within it. Okay.
Okay, after we introduce 3 core etiquette, and we have a mini video, ask people how many country culture.
If we talk about Japan, in my opinion, people there are very polite. So I think there must be many social rules in their culture to teach people what you should do to become a good man or successful person. That's why I think they must live under pressure, so much pressure. They create so many things to relax, like comic, animes, or even porn movie.
And I will think about they are really polite and they're not really good at speaking English.
My first impression of Japan is its food culture. The Japanese food is always delicious and gorgeous.
Japan's traditional costume is kimono, hefu, and the only festival I know is Terri Adult Festival. I know on that day people over 20 years old, they hold a celebration either at home or in a restaurant.
We talk about the United Kingdom's culture. I think the fish and chips, but I'm not really like it, and a royalty family, maybe.
They are famous for their soccer ball, like Beckham. I think people there are very well dressed. They are in fashion. You can see many beautiful girls, handsome guys on road.
And for UK, I don't think they have a certain costumes, but I know Scottish kilt. And for that festival, I think Edinburgh's festival fringe is pretty famous. On that day, there will be lots of performers, entertainments, including comedy, opera, shows, exhibitions, musicals, lots of things.
For England, I don't really know much about it since I've only been to there once and I was about 10 years old. The only thing I could remember is London Eye because it's the most beautiful Ferris wheel I've seen in the world.
And when we talk about China's Qing Dynasty, I will think about the television drama. Lots of people are only bald head in front and they have a ponytail in the back.
In past few years, I've watched many dramas about the Empire of China. I think their buildings are very grand, like red walls and those crafts on the rooftop. I think they are still very traditional.
Okay, this is our reference, and thank you for your attention.
Okay, thank you. You have 20 minutes only, but you try to cover too many things. Well, those are good, okay? But think about that. If you have only 20 minutes, and what can you focus on? Just maybe you talk about food or the way they respect to people. I mean, just like you said, the how to code them, to address them, right? Just focus on the certain part, and you talk about different cultures, how do you use that. And another one is koutou, right?
Yeah.
In Chinese, koutou. So even though that is by romanization, well, but you can, you still, okay, use Chinese way to say that. Since we are Chinese,
yeah,
we can pronounce that correctly. We don't need to follow the romanization, right? You just use the koutou, right, like that.
Oh no, it's from it's a word.
I know that. I mean, Chinese, we read that as 叩头, right?
敲头.
磕头, okay. 磕头. Then, well, we have romanization with KOW, etc., right? Okay. Then, when you read it, okay, when you talk about that, you still use 磕头.
敲头.
靠头. Yeah, I mean, for Chinese, we are Chinese. We don't need to use those romanizations.
Ah.
You know what I mean?
Oh yes, right now I know.
I know. I mean, I know that. But for example, you know that what else? 点心 or 杂脆, etc. We can pronounce that. You can use that in a correct way, right?
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. This is from Group 9.
Yeah.
Okay, let's welcome Group 10.
Hello, we are Group 10, and one of the most amazing things about our work is how the same action or tradition can be implemented so differently in each culture. And our motivations is they take marriage, for instance. Marriage represent another kind of beginning in people's life and is practiced around the world, but the way a wedding is celebrated varies immensely across cultures. And we have 6 countries to introduce.
The first we are going to mention is Japan. And a Shinto wedding is a traditional marriage ceremony that take place at a Shinto shrine in Japan. And praying to the spirits normally take place at private Shinto shrine in their family houses. And the wedding rituals, first the bride and groom will walk to a shrine from the waiting room. And when they arrived at the waiting room, the Shinto priest will give the couple an offering. And the offering is presented to the god so the new couple will be welcomed. And the third one is Nolito Sojo. And the Nolito is like 祝词. And the priest will read the Nolito aloud to the god. And it's a document tell the bride and groom they will be married. And the fourth steps is Senkon Nogi, and the bride and groom will drink the sacred sake from same glasses to exchange vows. And it's believed that the sacred sake has power from the gods. And the final steps is that the offering are given by the priest and a representative of each family to thank the god that have blessed the union, and finally the rings are going to exchange it. And the wedding clothing is that the couple are dressed in traditional outfits, and with the bride wearing a white and silk kimono, like the right side. And the white is symbolized purity in Japanese culture. And after the ceremony, the bride will going to change into the red kimono and stand at the beginning of the reception. And Taiwanese wedding is that the traditional Chinese wedding are very complex affairs that takes a lot of preparation. And most families seems to pride themselves by having huge ceremonies with as many people as possible. And in the biggest restaurants or banquets they can afford. And the first one is setting of the firecrackers. And the groom will drive the car to pick up the bride. And when he is near the bride's home, he will set off the firecrackers to let off the evil and let the bride know the groom is near. And the second step is that the bride's family will splash in the water, because the water means that she is no longer a member of her family. And the third step is that when the bride get into a car, she will fling a fan, and the fan is symbolized that she is left her bad temper and her bad habits behind. And the fourth step is crossing a charcoal fire and cracking a clay tile. It's believed that it to prevent bad luck, and is also done to hope for a baby boy. And these rituals are somehow sexism, so the practices are not nowadays as common as gender equality has developed. And the final step is to eating sweet rice dumplings, and the sweet dessert signifies a happy and sweet marriage. And the wedding clothing is the main color of traditional Taiwanese wedding dressing and decor setting is bright red, because in Taiwanese culture, the red color represents happiness. And different with Western attire, Taiwanese has their own special wedding attire. And the wedding dress is basically around theme of good luck and happiness. And the dragon, the phoenix, red and golden colors are all symbolize of happiness and good luck. And you can see from the left side, the wedding dress is one piece, and its name is qi pao. And the middle one and the right side is called long feng gua, and it's a two-piece dress.
Now I would like to introduce the wedding traditions and customs in India. So weddings in India, it's usually a very festive celebration. So normally the ceremony will last 3 days, and including the pre-marriage and the actual ceremony, and then like the after party. And usually they use a lot of balloons and flowers and anything that's very colorful to decorate their whole house. And they will invite like all the family members and family and friends to the wedding. So now I'm going to talk about some wedding traditions in India. First of all, they let the star decide their wedding date. They refer to the bride's and the groom's constellation, and they will decide the lucky dates that they both have in common. And the second is henna. Henna is the typical and famous bridal art. And it says that the darker the henna is, the stronger the marriage will be. And the third is the red powder. Sindoor, a red-orange powder, it will apply to the woman's hair, and it symbolizes the new status for the married woman. It's going to be applied during the ceremony. And the fourth is the mandap. After the bride walks down to the aisle to her husband, it is the tradition for the bride and groom to sit under a decorated pavilion. The 4 pillars of the mandap represents each of the couple's parents and their love and support for the couple. And the last one is the wedding prank called Juda Jubai, a fun alternative compared to the Western bouquet toss. It's this fun wedding pranks. So before the ceremony begins, the bridesmaid, they will hide the groom's shoes, and after the ceremony, the groom has to find the shoes. And if the groom cannot find the shoes, the bridesmaid, they can ask for a cash ransom to give up the location of the shoes. And I think this also depends on the family social status and the money they have, because for example Nick Jonas and his wife, that ceremony they asked for $5 million for the ransom. So I think it depends different family conditions. If they are rich, they will ask for more money. And there's also a wedding party called Sanjit party, and it can be held separately or combined with the Mehndi ceremony. It's the ceremony when they apply the henna tattoo to the brides. And this celebration consists of the family of the brides and the groom getting together for songs and dance and having fun together. And for the wedding clothing in India, the brides wear a wedding sari or dress according to the religion, and red is considered to be the most popular color during wedding because most of the movie about India, they wear a sari too, but the wedding one will be a little bit different. It will be red, mostly red, and it will be very detailed and decorated compared to the normal one. Because on the picture you can see the left it's the daily one, and then the right it's the one for the wedding. Usually the length of the sari is from 5 to 9 yards, and then the width is about 2 or 4 feet. Now I'm going to introduce the wedding tradition in Denmark. So for most Danish couples, a wedding ceremony usually happen in a small church or in a city hall, and normally it's only include the close friends and family because they think the bigger the wedding is, the more jealous the spirits and ghosts would be. So they prefer to have a small and nice one that wouldn't offend the gods or the spirits. And now here are some wedding traditions in Denmark. First of all, there's the flag. Like any other celebrations in Denmark, they will hang their flags everywhere. And during the wedding ceremony, they will have flags everywhere too. And during the speech, they will also wave their flags. And second, it's the bridal waltz. I think bridal waltz is not only popular in Denmark, but most of the European countries, they do a dance during the wedding. So as the couple dance, all the guests from a circle around the couple will slowly move closer, and at the end it would become like a massive group hug. Or most of the time during this dance, all the guests will dance together. And then the third one is the socks cutting. After the dance, the groom will be lifted up by his friend, and his shoes will be removed, and then they will cut their socks because it is said that the wife must stitch the socks back together. That means like if the wife is able to stitch the socks back together, it means she is a good wife because she will take care of the family houseworks, and she can stitch and she can take care of the husband and take care of the kids. And then the fourth one is kisses. So during this is a really fun one because if you want to get attention or like annoy the wedding couples, you can either drum on their plates with a knife or fork or step on the floor to make sound, and wherever you make the noise, the couples has to kiss either on the table or under the table or on the chair wherever you make the noise. And then there's the the fifth one. It's the famous traditional wedding cake of Denmark. It's called kransa. It's a tower of almond paste cookie rings, and they usually, for couples, they cut the cake together and they will eat it before midnight, and all the guests will have a piece of the cake. And normally, the top of the rings they will save it for the first anniversary or the baptism for the first child. Oh, and the wedding clothing. The Danish bride wears a white dress and they have a veil. So normally, because the brides already wear white, so she will like the female guest to wear something that it's not white. And for the ceremony, the bouquet for the brides it's usually bought by the groom, and also the groom should not buy the wedding shoes for his bride. She has to buy it by herself, and shouldn't sell it after the wedding.
In the cultural analysis, in India, as a collective society, marriage is arranged by parents based on the social socio-economic class and religion, as opposite to marriage being agreed upon by the individuals based on their personality traits and attributes. As is common in individualistic cultures, love in India is duty, a feeling that blooms from the obligation of a familial alliance. It also shows that family own a great part in Indian people's mind. And as for the Western culture, in the West like Denmark, love is more voluntary, and therefore more individualistic, with emphasis on the feelings and come about within each individual. As you can see, the Western culture is much more concerned of one's feeling than a group such as family, so they are able to do the thing they want and chase the truth they desire and or seeking for their true love.
Then I'm gonna talk about the Greece wedding, and I think every woman has their kind of imagination of Greece about the environment and also like the romance that they want. But actually, Greece is also have the traditional rituals and some kind of procedure to go. And the first one is single girlfriends making beds. And first of all, Greek weddings usually held on Saturday or Sunday. And before the wedding, the bride's single friends, they will prepare new bed sheets and wait for the new bed to be laid. And also the groom, they will enter into the new house and messes up the neat sheets. And the second one is child rolling, which is an direct action that they want a newborn baby and blessing for the early birth. And the third one is new bed sprinkling money, which is like their parents or friends, they will lose money in a new bed and blessing the newcomers to have a rich life in the future. And the name of the unmarried girlfriend is written on the bridesole. This is really different from Taiwan. Like in Taiwan, many girls like the bridal bouquet. They were competing to get that. But in Greece, they just write on the bridesole. And after the wedding, sees whose name is worn away and who is the next one who can get married. And odd number of kufeira. Kufeira is a kind of candy in Greece. And kufeira can be just a few. They won't need to be too much, but the number should be odd because odd number can divide it into two. So it's kind of a blessing that the new person can never be divided. And the last one is put money in the bride's shoes. The bride dad puts the money, and also they put on the bride, and it symbolizes the influence of life in the future.
For a long time, the wedding held in churches was recognized as a legal marriage by Greece. The establishment of the Greek kingdom in 1832, the Orthodox Church has always been regarded as the national religion of Greece. So they are very religious, which you have to get married in church to be like qualified as, okay, you are married. The church is an unchangeable place for Greek men and women to hold weddings for more than 100 years. The traditional wedding dress and wedding rings are still popular. The wedding dress have been varied, especially according to the theme of the wedding. The Greeks do not have to wear wedding dress to hold a wedding. However, they will choose the most traditional style, white robes, veil, and garland on top of the head. This dress makes the bride look as beautiful as the holy and dignified Athena.
And the next one is Turkey. And this is Kina. This is a kind of plant, and it's stirred during the ritual and applied by the mother-in-law. And this action symbolizes the bride's new journey is about to start. And this is the rituals, putting on traditional Turkish dress. And the next one is the elders will take a pot filled with candies, and all the guests to share the candy and share the joy and blessings. And at the end of the candy, everyone is immersed in the atmosphere, and they will at the end of the day will put a wish on the sky lantern.
And the biggest difference between Turkish wedding and Chinese wedding is dancing. And when Chinese people get married, we normally invite our family and friends to enjoy food in a common environment. But the Turkish wedding is more like a carnival, lively and crazy. And before the wedding, there is a special night for girls called Kina Gasasi. And many girls will gather to celebrate the upcoming wedding. They like to wear the traditional red dress called bindali, and the bride will paint henna too. And this is a very touching moment. And the bride usually cries because this is the last night she spent time with her family and stayed at her home. We can see both of Greece and Turkey are high context culture. That means they have strong traditions and history and have undergone less change over time.
4 minutes.
Hi, I'm going
Just show us part of that.
to introduce a traditional wedding in Japan, and it's called Shinto wedding. And when we mention about the Japanese style wedding, most of us will imagine the heavy big wig and super white makeup, and even the extravagant kimono. And yes, the pure and the rape.
So it means that
It is legal to get married there. Second, I think this one is very.
Okay. I will view that, but as you know that the videos actually just that's a part of your project. So just like other groups, group 2 or group 10, they did that to show people something we can learn from the video. But if you just speak this way, you don't need to actually just present that here, since you talk about the same thing. Understand me? Okay, so think about that. By the way, reading word by word during the presentation actually is not an effective way. You got too many words in pages, right? And some of you just read the word by word. You have good information, but how to digest them and just list out the main points. You know, PowerPoint means the points, right? For example, you say, okay, there are 3 parts I'm going to introduce to you. Then just some keywords, not necessary for the sentences by sentences. Okay, right? Then one is another one is okay. You mentioned about that you are you well you were nervous on the stage, but now you get used to that. So I'm happy to learn that, right? So you know this is very important in the following. In the following courses and in the workplace, right? You do need to have this soft skill.